Well, we talked about R.D. Laing, the Scottish psychologist, with reference to his work, The Politics of Experience. Now let's quote Laing here. I quote Laing: "Your experience of me is invisible to me, and my experience of you is invisible to you. I cannot experience your experience, and you cannot experience my experience. Experience is man's invisibility to man. This invisibility creates a need platform for supposition and interpretation." So we can understand through this particular statement, Lang is talking about the need for supposition. Everything goes on the basis of supposition, and the basis of supposition, and we keep on interpreting the things, because what you experience of me cannot be seen, is invisible, means I can't see what you experience of me, and my experience of you, what I see, is invisible to you. Therefore I cannot experience your experience, he says. It's not possible for me to experience your experience, and vice versa, you cannot experience my experience. So he defines experience as man's invisibility to man. Experience is something which cannot be seen by others, and this very need creates the platform for supposition. We keep on supposing the things. We say what you may feel, you think, I think what you may think, means I'm just giving a very common example. I mean the first person, any person. Okay, so everything depends on supposition and interpretation, and as per our supposition and interpretation, we interact with others. So Isaac calls that invisibility of experience as nothing. This invisibility of experience is called nothing. Not nothing, I'm sorry, no thing. There is a hyphen between no and thing. It is no thing. He makes it clear that the interaction between text and reader does not resemble exactly the interaction between person and person. Of course, no thing is a common factor between both the interactions. Means between the interaction between the text and reader, and the interaction between person and person. In both, no thing is a common factor. Means in both cases, experience is invisible. But there are two remarkable differences in these both interactions. What are these? Let's try to understand. The first one, the interaction between person and person is generally face to face. Okay, you can see the face of the person. It is a face to face interaction. And this is not possible in case of an interaction between text and reader, because one is animate while the other is inanimate. The reader is animate and the text is inanimate. Despite this, the interaction takes place between the text and the reader. Although text is an inanimate thing and the reader is animate, the interaction takes place. And the second point of difference between both the interactions is that the interaction between person and person is an objective base. Means both the person is no actually, so I'm sorry for the mistake here. Both the person know their objective. It should have been K and OW. Both the person know their objective and accordingly they interact. I shall correct it. Okay. So this is the difference. Means the interaction between person to person has an objective base. Both of them know the reason behind their interaction, the objective, the aim behind their interaction, and they act accordingly or they interact accordingly. Means we can say that the objective of interaction governs the interaction between two individuals, the interaction between person and person. The objective is very important. But in case of the interaction between text and reader, there is no objective as such. So the problem is what governs or regulates the interaction between text and reader. Means in face-to-face communication, interaction, you have particular purpose, particular objective. When you go to a shopkeeper, you know what to ask for. So there is an objective, and that objective governs the interaction. But here, there is no such objective. There is absence of objective. Then the question is what governs it? Then Isa gives a reply to this problem by stating that no thing of a literary text governs the interaction. That is invisibility of experience. So what governs? No thing. No thing governs the interaction between text and reader. He explains the actual process of interaction between text and reader. And no thing about text are under concealment. Concealment, they are hidden. Experience is hidden. And this no thing, invisible experience or experiences activate the reader for the process of ideation. Means a reader indulging in the into the process of ideation as per his understanding, logic and thinking. Okay, a reader indulges in this process of ideation. Ideation means forming ideas, giving message. So the text in which we find concealment means the hidden message have also revelations to those concealments. Although there are certain, you might be knowing something about the concealed wiring and all. The meaning is hidden, but still there are certain revelations. And these revelations help the reader to understand the text. And these revelations control and correct the reader's process of ideation. So this is how he said the interaction continues between a text and the reader through concealment and revelation. Okay. Now concealment of a text activates the reader while revelations of the same text correct the reader. For example, I'll tell you, if you are reading a poem, you try to find the figure of speech or the poetic device or some other message. Means this is what makes you, active or this is what activates you, we can say. And when you realize that this is a particular figure of speech, let's say this is a metaphor. No, you'll say this is simile because like or as is used. So revelations of the same text correct the reader. Therefore, Iser thinks that the reader's role becomes very important in the interaction because the reader no more remains a reader but becomes a participant in the interaction. In this way, the reader no more remains a reader but becomes a participant in the interaction. So I hope you understand it, how you become a participant in this interaction between the inanimate thing and animate thing. The reader has to respond to the no thing of a text, the hidden experience, the invisible experience, but as per the design of the author. Of course, the author's intention is also important. So he has to observe certain invisible boundary lines prepared by the author. Means I am not free to give any meaning to the text. There is some boundary to this invisible experience prepared by the author. And accordingly, the process of ideation, interaction takes place. According to Iser, the successful reader, the successful interaction. I'm very sorry that sentence is misformed. The successful interaction between the text and reader makes the reader realize that the ultimate message conveyed by the author is not only for the reader, it is for all the members of the world. This realization is very important. And the author's boundary has to be identified. Means it is not that simply what I understand is important as a reader. We need to realize the invisible boundary prepared by the author. Then only we can come up with the successful interpretation. And the successful interpretation makes you understand that the author is trying to or convey the message to all the members of the world. Okay, so this is how we understand the interaction between a text and the reader.